Good morning, partners. Welcome to another installment of Dante's Information Download. I want to thank you for your time today and joining us in this special edition right before Google Cloud Next 2019. I, of course, am Dante White, Senior Channel Manager here at RingCentral. Also featured on this webinar, you might remember Lawrence from one of my previous episodes. Lawrence has joined us here today as he is the Google ISV and Channel SE. Lawrence, I know that you've been doing this for quite some time with us here at RingCentral. If you could, obviously introduce yourself. Thank you so much again for joining me today.
Hey, it's
Give
my
us a little
pleasure.
bit of background. I know that there's some really cool background on how this partnership with Google came to be.
Yeah, sure. And like I said, it's my pleasure to be here. It was really pretty awesome when Google hand selected RingCentral to be one of the original 8 premier ISV partners, and what was then, of course, known as Google for Work, and of course they've since rebranded to G Suite. It wasn't an automatic process though. Like, hey, RingCentral, we're interested in you, and you're it. We still had to be vetted properly by them. So we went through a pretty excruciating audit conducted by Google, and then they also hired a third-party auditor to really look at our data centers and our security and everything else. And obviously, we passed everything we needed to, and became their premier ISV partner. What we do for them, along with all their partners, of course, do is have a specific niche. And of course, us being UCaaS, we provide that connectivity for their G Suite applications. And so that process started, and it really had us look at our product team, or looked at how we can create and then continually enhance the integration with Gmail and other applications. So I can go into showing you a little bit later on, after you cover your piece, how to actually go about getting the integration, and then what's all entailed with that.
Perfect, man. Thanks for that history on how this came to be. And folks, Lawrence is right. It was a very strenuous process for us to become one of 2 partners that they go to for the connectivity on the voice piece. We've already have that same type of hoops to go through when we were doing the AT&T partnership with the TELUS and the British Telecom one as well. As you can see, we have a very secure and compliant platform, and one that huge enterprises rely on. I'm going to jump in real quick and talk a little bit about the suite life, so to speak, right? Talk about Google's G Suite and Google Cloud overview. That way you can understand as partners and as potential customers why people are migrating to Google Cloud, why they're using G Suite as opposed to other Office suites out there, right? And this is just a snapshot of the benefits that people are seeing when they go over to it, but it really kind of paints a picture for you, right? So G Suite is one of the most well-known collections of SaaS applications in the world. In the little over 11 years since its release as Google Apps, G Suite's growth has been incredible, from nothing to hundreds of millions of users across millions of businesses and other organizations. The first bullet point that people start looking at, and like I said, this is just a snapshot of a couple of things, is making email more assistive. Gmail on the web got a makeover this year, and it's packed with even more Google AI to help you accomplish more from one place. I don't know if anybody's noticed it or if they used Gmail, but now it's got predictive analysis, right? Like if I'm on my phone, I can swipe, and it already completes the sentence for me. If I'm writing it for my desktop, it already kind of knows what I'm going to say based off of what I said. Very cool technology they got there, really kind of streamlining and helping workers become more efficient, and people become more efficient just like RingCentral does as well. The second point is strengthening enterprise security with more visibility and control. Lawrence alluded to the security standards that we had to go through to become one of 2 Google partners when it comes to their voice connectivity. And if you join me on the Theta Lake episode of Dante's information download, you got to see what that looked like as well from our 7 layers of security. But Gmail does it, or G Suite does it as well, right? So IT admins need tools for them to help govern how their organization data is being used, and it starts with visibility. So this year, Google added new ways for admins to gain insight into G Suite usage within their company and choose the region where their data is stored, really giving a bird's eye view of the organization's security in the security center, and receive proactive recommendations from Google to avoid or mitigate threats, which is really great for anybody that has those types of concerns, right? Because it's always a concern of security. Filling app gaps, so to speak. So RingCentral fills app gaps too, right? I'll talk a little bit later about how we're getting rid of app overload. Most people are using 5 to 6 different apps to communicate, but with RingCentral, it's a single point of glass. Well, G Suite's also done the same. So your business probably has apps for big ticket items like customer relationship management, marketing and operations. But what they've done is, what about those apps for internal processes and workflows that are unique to your needs? Well, that's where AppMaker comes in to make a low-code application development platform that helps you plug pesky app gaps by letting you quickly build custom apps to streamline internal processes. It's great for speeding up things like budgeting, expense reporting, and things of that nature. The fourth thing is making your apps work together, right? Along those same lines. So Google's always looking for ways to make work move faster, as RingCentral is as well. A big part of this is making sure the tools that you use work together. This year, Google added more interoperability features in G Suite, including new ways to comment on files outside of G Suite, just for a little example. And lastly, bringing you, oops, went a little bit too far on that. Got click happy there. Sorry about that, folks. Bringing you flexible ways to collaborate. So just like RingCentral, they have flexibility in mind. So they introduce more G Suite apps to help teams collaborate, including Hangouts Chat, an enterprise messaging app with built-in security that features threaded conversations to house your projects over time, as well as increased investments in Google's for the enterprise. They also brought businesses a new way to purchase Drive separately to make it easier to upgrade a modern enterprise content management ECM system. So let's talk about why the RingCentral integration makes sense. Why RingCentral makes sense as a whole, right? But specifically, we're talking about how it ties into Google here today. On the right-hand side, you can kind of see the G Suite, the Google Cloud offering, Sheets, Docs, Google Drive, right? And on the left-hand side, you can see RingCentral, a truly integrated single-pane platform. So you're used to the unlimited calling, texting, faxing in the US and Canada, conference bridge lines, contact center, team collaboration through GLIP, video messaging like we're using here today to record this, analytics, global office, and then obviously the open and integrated platform. And so with the actual RingCentral platform integrated with Google, right? So you're able to listen to voicemails and send and receive text messages, schedule online meetings, log into your RingCentral account using your Google credentials, just to name a few. It's really streamlining the way businesses are going to market, right? And able to move into the future. Lawrence, in just a few moments, is going to show us what the actual demo looks like of itself, so you can see for yourself how cool and slick it is to use as a customer of both platforms, or if you're looking at one or the other. But I want to touch on top RingCentral customer benefits before we jump into that, right? So first and foremost, communication simplicity. I've been kind of talking about that a lot during the course of this presentation, and I talk a lot about it with all my partners and customers. People want it simple, right? There's 5 to 6 different applications most businesses use, and we want to make it easy. One throat to choke, one bill to sign. You know exactly where everything is. You can call somebody from the same app that you text them from the same app that you're going to send them a web meeting from. Makes it super easy for everybody in the enterprise to use and deploy. Also enhancing employee efficiency, right? So businesses want to always run faster, leaner, stronger. by getting rid of all that app overload. It's really helping the efficiency portion of it, right? Also, the productivity portion of it as well is huge, right? So now you have the ability to screen pop, you have the ability to tie into your Google Documents, you've got the ability to go to Google Drive and pull a document out and fax it out from the application, so you don't have to kind of pause what you're doing, go over to another application, go there. It makes it very simple, and it really increases the productivity of every employee. Customer engagement or customer experience, right? CX is, you're probably seeing a lot of that going on LinkedIn, is because that's kind of the buzzword of this year. Customer experience is going to be huge. It always has been, but it's going to continue to become even more paramount for businesses. So better customer engagement, what does that mean? Once again, using screen pops, having the ability for your employees to be more efficient in productivity. So as a customer calls in, they have a very wonderful experience because they're not having to get shuffled around, right? And you will see that with RingCentral Engage if you haven't seen a demo on that yet. Customer engagement is a huge part of it in that experience, because once you lose a customer, it's really hard, nearly impossible to get them back. Lower total cost of ownership. Anybody who's looking from going from the on-prem world to the cloud world and hasn't done so yet, you're going to really see a lower total cost of ownership. Just, from a simplistic standpoint, right? Like very little to no hardware. All we have is phones. If you want to use them, you can also use the soft phone or the mobile application. So there's not a necessity there. You don't have that big hunk of metal as you would with a PBX. You also get rid of the PRIs, T1 connections, MPLS networks, all the stuff before that you were paying for that had connectivity between different offices globally and also locally, right? You're getting rid of that. So over time, the cost of going to the cloud is much cheaper, right? And you're starting to see that already in enterprises. Gartner's already dropped the on-prem portion of their Magic Quadrant. They're not showing that anymore. They're only strictly going cloud. And then lastly, before I hand it over to Lawrence, is budgeting predictability. So the cost of a seat is the cost of a seat. It's got unlimited local and long distance calling, so you're not having to worry about metering minutes or anything along those lines. 1 minute the bill might be this much, the next the other. You can set your watch to it. As long as your user count doesn't change, the price of RingCentral is not going to change. So that's why a lot of customers are looking at RingCentral, looking at other cloud platforms because of those reasons. I'm going to hand it over back to Lawrence so he can demo what it's like to download where you can get the integration and also what it looks like. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Lawrence, go ahead and take over for me, my man.
All right, absolutely. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right, there you go. So yeah, actually, what I was going to say was in regard to G Suite, and you showed on one of your slides with a lot of the features and capabilities that G Suite has within its own Google offering. Google really wanted to make sure that, because they understand that businesses rely on different tools to run their day-to-day businesses and operations. So what they wanted to do is build within the G Suite the ability to integrate with the other commonly used solutions. So they really looking at it in the way that in that UCaaS way, right? That Unified Communications as a Service way, to spend less time managing and working with all these different disparate apps and spend more time essentially growing your business. So looking at customer relationship management, finance and accounting, e-signature, customer support, corporate and social portals, recruiting tools, there's project and process management tools. We fall into their business communications segment, document management, encryption, and identity and access management. So that's where all of those original 8 premier SV partners fell into. And as Dante mentioned, we were one of 2. The reason that they really needed to is because RingCentral, they needed, as they were growing up market and globally, and really looking up to get enterprise level organizations, they needed a provider that was mature in the space, reliable, obviously, call quality excellent, the high availability and uptime, and to have those advanced IVR type features and functionality, first and foremost for the communications portion, but then the rest of the UCaaS suite of features too, so that it would be a full offering from what they could provide from their end to their customers, and then us enhance and supplement that and be able to provide that connectivity between those applications. So here on my screen, you'll see would be where you would get the Chrome extension, and that's what it is. It's a Chrome extension. So if you are a G Suite customer, or just really anyone that uses the Chrome browser, you should be familiar with what a Chrome extension is. And so you would just go Google Chrome Web Store and then type in the search bar RingCentral, and then you'll see RingCentral for Google. And you'll see here I have it already added. So typically would say add to Chrome. So I already have it. The way you can verify that you have the extension is to go to your extensions in your Chrome browser. I have many. So you'll see that I actually have RingCentral for Google, and this is the current version, and it is enabled. So once you see that it is enabled, at that point, you can either first log into your Gmail, or if you're already in your Gmail, just go ahead and hit refresh right here, refresh the screen. And once you do, you're going to see, actually, I'm going to go ahead and log out, because I'll show you the ability to how all the different options you have for logging in. So I'll log out, but you will see this window, and it'll be the window to sign into the RingCentral Chrome extension. So when you sign in, you're going to see that I have either the option to sign in using my RingCentral login credentials, but if you're already a G Suite customer, if you're a Google customer, the way we looked at this was, why would you want to remember another set of login credentials? So the ability to now just use your Google credentials to get in makes it a lot easier. Now, if your organization is looking for that added level of security, and they are using Google SSO, so single sign-on, you can go ahead and use that option there too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sign into this account. Now, once you sign in, the very first time that you sign in, as you can see, it's trying to synchronize not only my corporate contacts, but also my personal Google contacts. But the first thing you want to do when you sign in is you're going to click on these three horizontal lines, and it's going to open up these options. Click on Settings, and you're going to want to go right here. And this again will be familiar to customers that are Google or G Suite customers, or even if you're not a G Suite customer, just anything that you do with Google, even if you have an Android phone, you'll see this type of a window that'll pop up, and it'll ask you to sign in using your Google domain, your Google account. And of course, if you have multiple aliases, you can just choose which one that you want to synchronize. Here, it's my corporate. And then, that what happens there, you get a pop-up window, and it's going to ask you to confirm that you want to synchronize with your calendar and your contacts. So once you do that, you'll now have all the features and capabilities of what this extension can do. So let's start. What can it do? Well, right off the bat, anywhere that you have a phone number embedded within your email message, as you can see, I have one right here. That's actually an Australian number. As I hover over it, you'll see that I have the option now to either click to dial that number, or if it's a textable number, I can do SMS, and I can text right to this number right from here. You do have the ability to actually also just start dialing a name. So if I wanted to actually choose Dante, it's going to pull from my corporate contacts. Okay.
Hey, that's me.
Or, yeah, that was you. You really want to see you? I'll click on this section, and there you are right there. There's a little picture of you. So I'm connected to you through another device using RingCentral Meetings right now. So that's an active call going through our unified client, our RingCentral app. And so it's got an active call running with Dante right now for the audio portion of this webinar. And so if I actually, but you also can dial a number too. So if I started dialing a phone number, I'll just show you an example of what an active call looks like. 457-3132, and make that call. So now you can see I just have it's telling me the call is being recorded. It just went ahead and connected. And now you can see the options that you have on an active call. So I can put the call on mute. I can, of course, go to my keypad. So if we need to punch in something for listening to some sort of a menu, I can put the call on hold. I can conference in. So instead of three-way calling, we actually have 10-way calling. So you can actually add it up to, let's say you and I are on a call, Dante, I could add 8 additional folks onto here. You can record the call. Yep. And then with call actions, I could either do a call flip, where I could flip the call to, let's say, my physical device, or I could, of course, do a transfer and transfer the call. So you have these options during these active calls. All right. So moving on. This section is pretty self-explanatory. It's the call history. So all inbound, outbound, missed calls. And I could also, if I say, oh, you know what, I missed a call from Jacob here, let me give him a call back, or I could text him, or I could actually look at his contact card and look up all his contact information. Maybe I need his email, send him a quick email. So you have that type of data right there. This section here is your messages, and really think about this. What we've done is we're enabling you. If you live in the email and you're constantly answering, responding, sending messages out throughout the day, we're making it so that you don't have to keep flipping back and forth between multiple applications. Essentially, your soft phone is embedded right here within your Gmail. So you saw that you can make or receive calls. You can also check your messages too. So from here, you'll see that I have some voicemails that I could listen to. And from there, of course, I could call the person that actually left me the voicemail, text them, look at his contact. I could flag it for later use or delete it. You can play it from here. Faxes, I can receive and check my faxes from here, and as well as text message conversations. And I could even send a brand new text as well. Okay. So the next section here is contacts. Now, if you remember, I said earlier, this is going to synchronize not only with your corporate contacts, but also your personal Google contacts. So you'll have those, and therefore you also have a filter. Okay. And from there, if I just wanted my corporate contacts to show, I could just filter out all the others to make it a little bit more streamlined for my search. And so if I look here, and there's Dante again, and I pull up Dante, it also shows the presence, right? Because he's busy on a call right now, and it lets me know that he's currently actively on a call. I can see his extension. I could call it.
You can even text. I just sent you a text too, just because I know you were just going over that, so you can show that if you want to, if you need to.
All right, and there's his email information. Also shows recent activity. So what's nice here is that I can actually click on the Gmail and see all the recent emails that we've had going back and forth. It'll show me. I'll take that a step further. If I click on the email, it's going to now take me right to that email, and you'll see that my plugin follows me. Okay. So it's great because I didn't have to actually go searching for the email that he sent me. Right there from the contact section, I was able to see the emails and then go right to it. So that's a really great feature because it really helps you, again, save time and be a lot more productive. We've also added, there you go. Thank you. You did send me a text. We also have now any text message conversations that he and I have had, and then any inbound, outbound call activity. So it'll show which direction, the duration, and when that call took place. We will be adding voicemails and faxes to this section as well. So you'll see any voicemails. I'll have access to any of the voicemails he's left me and any of the faxes that we've had together. So really a lot nicer than just having contact data. You're getting a lot more content just from pulling up, let's say, Dante or any contact that you have within your organization. Okay. Back to those three horizontal lines, you have the ability to set the parameters of your RingCentral meeting and then schedule it with your Google Calendar. So I can set the time and the date, the duration, make it whether it's just a one-time or a recurring meeting, allowing let's say, the host, people to join the meeting. Well, actually, I'll show you that from these advanced options. I can enable to join before the host, require a password so that not anyone random can just get in and listen to the content that we're covering. For the audio, you have different audio options here as well, and the different video options. Once I set all those parameters, I don't have to copy and paste anything and go then open up Google Calendar. It's going to take it all of that data, and it's going to launch Google Calendar, and it's going to transfer all of that into the invite. So all I really need to do is go ahead and just add the recipients, anyone that I want to have in that meeting, and I could also edit the title of the meeting. And of course, I can change anything else if dates and times change. I can edit that here before I send it out. And then once I hit save, it'll go out to everyone that I sent the invite out to. Okay. Now, taking that a step further, if I didn't use the option to schedule the meeting from within the plugin, a lot of folks typically just open up their calendar and they look for an available time slot. And what do we normally do? We like to, let's say, double click on the time slot. And that's okay, because with our Google add-ons, we've now made it to where there's a native integration within Google Calendar. So if you click add conferencing here, you'll see. Now, again, we're partners with Google, so we do realize that a lot of Google customers use Hangouts Meet, and that's right? That'll always be the first option because this is their calendar. But now with our native integration with that add-on, RingCentral for Google Calendar add-on, you have the option for RingCentral audio conferencing, and I'll talk about that here shortly, and then also RingCentral meetings. So if I chose RingCentral meeting, now what it'll do, of course, I didn't log in this way for that particular add-on. So all I would have to do is just click on that and then do the normal sign in. But for time purposes, we'll just go ahead, and what it would do is populate the body here with what you saw earlier with the invite section, and then again add the recipient. So you'll have the URL for the hyperlink and all the dial-in numbers to get into that meeting. Okay. Now, in regard to Hangouts Meet, if you wanted to use RingCentral's audio bridge, right, and use, let's say, for example, you were going to use Hangouts Meet, but you wanted to open this up to 1,000 participants to listen to the meeting through the audio, you can go ahead and use our audio conference bridge. And so to do that, you can go ahead and select schedule conference. And it could also be to where you wanted to have additional countries join in on this. And instead of them dialing into the US conference bridge number and incurring those long distance rates for that, let's say, hour-long conference call, you can at this point now go ahead and add additional countries. So you would just select those, and then they would be added right here. And then again, well, you do have the option to invite by text. You can do that. You can launch it right now and start an ad hoc conference, or you can go ahead and invite with Google Calendar. And at that point, it's going to populate all those dial-in numbers right here in the invite. And same as before, and then you would choose Hangouts Meet. Now you don't have to. You can just do this as a scheduled event for audio, and it's just going to be audio. But with going back to what I was talking about, if you wanted to use our audio with a Hangouts meeting, you could do that here. Okay. And that's how that audio conference bridge works. We've added in the revamped version of our Chrome extension. This is the newer version of what we used to have when we originally launched it. We now added the conference commands. So now the host, of course, can get caller counts, You can set different listening modes. You can mute folks on it. You can record the conference. So you have all these different conference commands, but typically that would be on a separate list, or you want to, so you have to access these commands from a different source or go to a different web page. Now they're right here listed within easy access within the Chrome extension. Okay. All right. Lastly, the section here for settings. And this is how you can set the initial parameters for how you want the calls to actually route. And what I mean by that is uh, you have true WebRTC calling through the browser. You have the option to actually call through your standalone RingCentral phone, right? This is our standalone soft phone. There are use cases for that, and I won't go into pretty much all of them on this particular webinar, but some of those reasons might be that you want to utilize the heads-up display, and within that heads-up display, maybe you set up call monitoring for a supervisor to listen in for quality assurances, quality assurance or customer service reasons, to be able to listen in on calls for the agent, do whisper, barge, takeover, things like that. So, and there's many other use cases available why you might want to utilize the ability to call out through RingCentral for desktop. Then you also have your RingCentral phone. So if you wanted to become a ring out through your physical desk phone, you can do that. So if you chose this option, then at that point you're putting in that phone number, and then once you do the click to dial, so if I change that back here, and then if I did the click to dial, what would happen is it would ring my physical desk phone. Once I pick up the handset or use my headset to pick up the call, it would then initiate the call out to this number. Okay. And then you also have other phone, and those are phones that are set, basically for, let's say a cell phone or something else that you've set up for your other phones within your user portal. And then the other option is custom phone. This is pretty popular too, because you could be out in a location that you don't have your business phone with you. Maybe you're working from home, maybe you're on vacation, maybe you're at a hotel in a business conference center, and you type in the phone number for that, and maybe it's even an analog device, and you go ahead and put that phone number in. And once you hit save, then at that point, same thing. If you click to dial or use the dial pad, it becomes a true ring out to that phone number. And once you pick up the handset, it'll initiate the call. So lots of different options to do the calling. You also can set your region. This is nice because by doing this, any number that is in the 720 area code, I don't actually have to do the full 10-digit dialing. I can just dial 7 digits and it's going to dial the number. So any area code that you designate here will allow you to do that. And you have different options to do that within the US, Mexico. We just added Australia, United Kingdom, and France. So these are the different countries you have the in-region dialing option. Then you also have the ability to change your status. Now, you realize that it took a few mouse clicks to get here, and I can change my status. Obviously, I'm available. I want to show that I'm available. Dante or someone else in the company would see I am available. I could put myself as busy if I'm in a meeting, but if I really don't want to take any calls whatsoever, and I don't even want it to vibrate, I can hit do not disturb, and that present status is going to reflect throughout all endpoints that I have, whether it's a physical desk phone, my RingCentral app, my standalone RingCentral phone, my mobile app, all endpoints. And any call that comes into me will go right to voicemail. And I can put myself also to invisible. But just so that you know, you don't have to actually do all those different mouse clicks to get here, click settings, and then scroll down, click on this, and then click on to actually get to the status. You can, let's say if I'm in my dial pad, you can just go right to the status button. It's going to take you right there. So it's a quicker way of actually getting to that section. Okay. And then finalizing it, you're getting down to the option of if you're part of a call queue or multiple call queues, you can take yourself out of the queue. Let's say you're going on a break. You can log yourself out of the queue. And at that point, whether you're in a rotating round robin or a fixed order or simultaneous ring, it won't even attempt to ring your extension. You are logged out of that queue. Even though your user hours are coinciding with the department hours that you're part of, you're still actually logged out, so it won't attempt to ring you. Okay. And then you also have the ability to keep the plugin up and running, but maybe you're doing a presentation, maybe for whatever reason, you don't want to have this pop up every time you hover over a phone number. So you can turn that off if you just click on that toggle switch. Okay. All right. The other option that you have is that you may not want this to follow you around. And what I mean by that is that you can also go to other websites. So it's not just click to dial out of your Gmail. You have the ability, as you notice, the phone followed me to just any Chrome web page or a website. So if I just go to any Google page and I pull up like a query on something that I'm looking for, in this case, it's Parker Doctors, and I hover over any of these phone numbers, you'll see that I have the option to click the dial. If it is a textable number, I can text it. But if I don't want that popping up on a specific website, I do have the ability to go in and I can right click. This is in my web browser. This shows that I actually have the Chrome extension. And I could right click on that option right there and click on options. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to blacklist a particular website. Now, RingCentral has a lot of integrations, out of the box integrations with Salesforce and ServiceNow, Zendesk. You'll see these others here. Well, since we already have an integration and a built-in plugin within those applications, why would I want to have the plugin, the phone pop up there and kind of have like redundant capabilities? So in that particular case, all I'd have to do is click on the plus sign, type in the URL for that website and hit save, and then it won't pop up, it won't follow me there, and it won't show. Okay, so you have that option there too. So I kind of gone over a lot of the features and capabilities of what the Chrome extension does, the ability to of everything that you can do within Gmail, what you can do now actually just going to a Chrome website. You also have some additional functionality with this integration. I mentioned Google SSO. So not only on our own RingCentral website, but also from the G Suite admin help site, has all of our step-by-step instructions on how to actually set up Google SSO. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, we do integrate. And then we also integrate with Google's auto user provisioning or Google Cloud provisioning. That's their version of, let's say, what Microsoft would have with Active Directory. So it doesn't require any middleware. And there's step-by-step instructions in the guide, not only from RingCentral, but also from the G Suite admin site on the step-by-step instructions on how to set up the integration between RingCentral and Google Auto Provisioning. And at that point, through Google Cloud Provisioning, you can set up all your users and all their parameters really from one source, and that's going to populate the users in the RingCentral service web portal. All right. You also, for those of you that have Chrome books, we do integrate with the Chrome OS in the way that if you still are going to use through your Chrome browser the Chrome extension and all those features, but RingCentral meetings can now be standalone and operate within the Chrome OS, and you have the ability to join or start a meeting in your Chrome browser. You do have the ability, if you're going to schedule, you're going to schedule it in the process that I showed you earlier by doing it this way. But you can join or start a meeting. There are a few exceptions, though, that you won't have the ability to, let's say, record a meeting, as Dante's recording right now. You cannot use the whiteboarding or the annotate tools within that particular application that's going to be installed in the Chrome OS. And once again, the scheduling the meeting, you're not really losing the ability. You're just going to do it from the Chrome extension, and then the participant list you won't be able to see from the Chrome OS. Those are the only items that change. Otherwise, you do now have the ability to use this on Chrome OS. And the other thing that we've done to make it a lot easier for our customers when they are a G Suite customer is once we know that, and that's usually identified upfront in the sales process, is that your Google customers will get a welcome email, and it walks them through, setting up their voicemails and their time zone and their line appearances, things like that. But what it'll also do is it'll recognize that they're a Google customer, and it'll walk them through the steps to where to go to download the RingCentral for Google integration, and then some additional step-by-step instructions. So you're going to get some really good extra info that's tailored to you as a G Suite or a Google customer. All right. Lastly, you have the ability to integrate Chrome or Google Drive into our RingCentral app. Let me move this over. Sorry, get that out of the way. So if I was going to, let's say, send something out here to Dante, I can go ahead and say send him. I need to share a file with him. And then I share that, and I could grab something from either from my computer, or let's say with Jason here, I wanted to share files, and I could go to my Google Drive. And at that point, it would have me sign in and link my Google Drive, depending on which account that I'm in. I would sign in. And once I sign in, it's going to direct me right into my Google Drive, and then I can select the files from there. So it integrates that way with Google Drive. Now, one other thing with Google Drive, and I promise is the last piece, and I'll turn it back over, hand the baton back over to Dante, is you do have the ability to fax from Google Docs. So what's really nice there is that it'll launch RingCentral Fax for Google Docs. That's another add-on, and then I can send a fax right out from there. And I know there are, faxing still important. Folks are still using it out there, and they might not want you to share a link to there and share it from Google Drive. They want the document faxed to them. So we've integrated in such a way where you can fax right out from Google Docs. And on the roadmap, we'll be adding additional file formats. So I envision, Dante, that we'll be able to like right click on any of those files within Google Drive file formats, and then just hit open with, and you'll see all those different options in there. One of the options will be RingCentral Fax. So that's it. That's the integration.
Awesome. Hey, Lawrence, thank you so much as always for sharing some time with us and allowing me to showcase this to our partners and customers. It means the world to me. I'm sure that it also means the world to everybody out there, that they get the opportunity to see this amazing integration and the types of technology that we're bringing to the table here. I, Lawrence, and the rest of the RingCentral crew are looking forward to seeing everybody out there at the sold-out Google Club next week. That is the 9th through the 11th at the Moscow Center. If you didn't get a ticket, I believe Google is streaming some of the goings on there, so go ahead and check that out if you can. If you are attending the conference, please stop by our booth and say hello. I will be there. Lawrence will be there. A couple of our other colleagues will also be there too. And as a quick reminder, Sangeeta Walsh, Director of Product Marketing at RingCentral, is going to be doing a session on April 10th from 3 to 3:20, and it's going to be over RingCentral and Google, enabling productivity by working together in the cloud. So everybody, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel if you have. Everybody have a great day, and good night.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.